All right, just all right. Just got this text message about 10 minutes ago from Scotty Bethune. How does one do a sports show today? Good luck, sir. Well, I got to be honest with you. I had to really sit and think about this today because I don't want to pretend or act like I don't know what's going on in the world. But I also know this is a sports show, so it's one of those situations where it's a delicate balance. I will address the murder of Charlie Kirk a little bit later in the show. I've got some thoughts I want to share. It's obviously very saddening to see this type of violence take place. It's awful news, and I know many of you are impacted by the news today. I would suggest that if you've not seen the video, don't go searching for it. I received a text message from a friend of mine earlier today, Steve Herman, and it was just a link, so I didn't know what I was getting into, and I opened up the link, and I saw the video, and it was so awful, I thought it was a fake. And then I had people start texting me, and I realized that it was actually real. So if you haven't seen the video, I would suggest not looking for it. Don't go searching for it. You don't want to see it because now I can't get the image out of my head. But I will address it later in the show. If you want to jump on board, feel free to do so, 503-248-0620. That is your telephone number, 503-248-0620. You can always listen and podcast the show via our free iHeartRadio app. It's a great way to keep up on things. And, of course, we're on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and you can participate. Chris Burkhart, my man, is joining me in studio for the first hour of the show. Anytime I have a chance to hang out with my buddy Burkhart, I will do so, and he's here. What's up, buddy? Good to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you.
I think the troubling thing for me with the murder of Charlie Kirk today, you probably feel the same way. He's got young girls. He's a dad, and that family is devastated now forever. And I hate to see that because as a father, trying to imagine my children growing up without a father, it's devastating. That's the part that really troubles me aside from everything else involved with that. But that family and the girls, they're going to suffer now, and I hate that.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, I think, to wrap your head around sometimes when you're a parent. Like, you see that, and that's the first thing that goes through my mind. Like, yeah, that's the first. It's hard to put into words, quite honestly, because that's the first thing that it makes you want to go home and hug your kids. That's what it is. All right, and this should be the feeling for everyone who watches that. Like, I know we're a sports show, but like I told you when I walked in, like I don't care where people are politically. I'm not a Charlie Kirk fan. I wasn't. I don't agree with his talking points. I would never wish this upon him and his family and his kids and like the people who did have a relationship with him. Like, it's gut wrenching, man. It's just brutal, and for it to play out in a public forum for the world to see it's nasty, man.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. If you ever celebrate the demise or death of somebody because you disagree with their politics, you're a sicko. That's really where I come down on it. I believe in conversation. I believe in discourse and that effort of communication, bringing people together. So, yeah, it's a very sad day. The news is awful, and hopefully over the next 3 hours we can bring a little distraction, but also some healing as well. So if you want to comment on that or anything that's going through your mind, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. And, of course, we'll get a chance to talk some football with the season now both underway in college football and the NFL. Now, I want to ask you, we'll start with the 49ers, Burkhart, because I know you're a big 49er fan. I really enjoyed that football game. It was one of several on Sunday that were terrific. But here's what I liked about the 49er game. Brock Purdy was far from perfect. He made plenty of mistakes. The Seahawks defense, I thought, had a terrific game. But yet the 49ers, late in that game, found a way to make the plays on both sides of the ball to get a very tough win on the road in division. I thought it was a great start for them in a situation where they're dealing with their own troubles right now because of injury, but just a gutsy win for the 49ers. How did you read that with the victory over the Seahawks?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, people like to get a little, too in tune with what happened in week one. I mean, you watch across the NFL, there was plenty of ugly football games, right?
Yeah.
Part of that is because you go through, a 4-week preseason where you only play your starters for like half a quarter, and then you throw them into opening week and say, okay, have at it. So there was plenty of sloppy football, but they made the plays that they needed to make down the stretch. They weathered some very, very poor special teams play from Jake Moody, who ended up getting, released from the team because of it. But no, they made the plays they needed to make. Purdy did make some questionable throws. Even that go-ahead score was a very questionable throw. That thing could have been picked 50% of the time. But guess what? The time it mattered, it was a score in this timeline.
Were you happy that Jake Moody got cut for his horrific display as a kicker? Rough start to his career.
Yeah, I was, because you can't do that. You cannot be a 75% field goal kicker in the NFL. That is
be
atrocious.
Closer to 90. Yes.
Yes, that's terrible. So, yeah, I mean, you have to do what you got to do in that situation. I don't know where he got the yips. I know some people pointed out there was an injury early in his career that could have led to it, because he had to change his kicking stance and all that stuff. But, I mean, the dude was just lights out in college in Michigan. The guy, he was on target. Dude, put him out there, and you're like, yep, he's going to make it. So it was just weird to watch him get the yips.
I was sad to see George Kittle get hurt. He's going to be on the IR. He's dealing with that hamstring injury. I thought for sure after the commercial where he's on the deer that would bring some type of good fortune of incredible health. It's one of the greatest commercials I've seen in quite some time. I've got a buddy who loves it too. The idea of Kittle sitting on a deer in a commercial is amazing. I love Kittle. It's sad to see him go down. So 49ers depth is going to be tested early in the season. But Brock Purdy showed some gutsiness. And also, I think I wouldn't have thought this when he first started, but he's actually got a little gunslinger in him where he's willing to test his arm and the defense and try to put the ball in some dangerous situations. I kind of respect that, because I didn't think about that of him when he first started playing, but now I realize, like, he's not afraid to let it rip and try to make a big play.
Well, I mean, you look at a guy like Brett Favre, right, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, but he also leads the history of the NFL in interceptions because he played like that, right? Like this, okay, there's a tight window there. I'm going to I trust my arm to fit the ball in that window. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But, yeah, sometimes you got to take that risk. You can't always play it safe.
All right, Chris Burkhardt is in the studio. We're talking some football. The Oregon Ducks. It's early. I want to ask you the question I got yesterday from who was I talking to? I can't remember who I was talking to, but they asked a great question, and it was on the basis of this. Early in the season, because we only get, a few weeks of college football. We're almost already a quarter of the way in to the season already. Who is the best team in the country through the first couple of weeks of the college football season that you have seen? I will give you a couple of answers. For me, the two most impressive teams, LSU with their defense and what they displayed against Clemson. They look like a team that can beat anybody. Ohio State would be on the list, and I'm also thoroughly impressed with Florida State. Dominant in week one with their win at home against Bama, and they took care of a bum in week number 2. But those teams jump out to me. I know Oregon's been wildly impressive, but their competition level hasn't been there. So I would say I put LSU at the top because of the defensive performance. But for you, who's been the best team that you've seen through 2 weeks?
Well, I think you can debate who that is, but I think the answer is a team that resides in the Big Ten. Ohio State and Oregon are incredible. Penn State's good. You're right on LSU. They look complete this year, which is good for them. Absolutely. I think that Georgia might end up having a bit of a down year, even though that's down year for Georgia is still good, right? You know what I mean? Alabama, what are they? Tennessee, we want to be good. What are they? South Carolina looks like they might be on the come up, but what are they? Right? LSU might be the team to beat in the SEC. And if you're the team to beat in the SEC, you're one of the best in the country. No hands down. But I lean LSU, I lean Ohio State, and then I definitely lean Oregon. You look at what happened this week, and it's like, okay, Ohio State drops 70 on Grambling State, right? And you have 63-0 wins against teams that you don't even know their names, right? And then Oregon goes in there and does it to a Power 4 team. I mean, 69-3 against a Power 4 team, even though it's a Power 4 team.
Sort of Power 4 right now.
It is, it's sort of. But even though they're a down team, they're in a Power 4, right? And that's something. That was an impressive victory.
It was. I really thought going into the year, I had so many Duck fan friends reach out to me. I said, hey, I think the team's going to be better than last year. And you can be a better team even if you don't go undefeated throughout the regular season. And the reason why is that, one, it's pretty clear the two tackles they brought in Harkey and World through the portal are super legit. Those guys have been great. So I've been very impressed with the continuity on the offensive line early in the season. Very impressed with the work that Lanning has done to beef up the defensive line. The defensive tackles, I think, are terrific. And then the secondary is one of the best in the country. So I think defensively the Ducks are better, and I think they're going to be a top 10 defense nationally throughout the course of the year. But what we're seeing with Dante Moore is as great as Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel were for the school, and they were great, Dante Moore is a little more dynamic in terms of his athleticism. He's got great arm strength. But what we're seeing now, because of the offensive line and Moore, big dominant run plays, explosive plays in the run game, which missed last year. And then we saw the throws. He was attacking downfield on Saturday. That's a very good sign, I think, for Oregon as they continue to gear up for this game against Penn State.
Well, I mean, he was throwing darts. Some of those passes wide open. I mean, he put it in just the perfect spot, right in transition, right in stride. Just a beautiful next level type throw. And he's been incredible. And then, you do get the people who will knock him. Same thing they knocked Bo Nix for, like, oh, check down quarterback. Yeah, okay, well, A, if you go through your progression how you're supposed to and all you have is your check down, that's the right throw, so get over that. But B, you look at even the NFL, Chad. Like, yes, those big plays are nice, but how many times is Mahomes just launching 50-yard bombs? He's not. He's hitting his guys over the middle 10 yards at a time, 5 yards at a time. I think last year the leader in the NFL for yards through the air was like 6.5 yards.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to hit those short routes, and Dante Moore's doing it very effectively.
Yeah, coming up in a couple of weeks, I looked at the schedule for that weekend. I think it's on the 27th. So what you're going to have is Oregon taking on Penn State. Washington is going to take on Ohio State. You also get Georgia and Alabama. So you get a late September Saturday where you have multiple massive football games, which is going to be beautiful. Like, I can't wait. Those are the type of games I'm talking about, man. But I think Oregon's in a good spot. I love their team speed. I love that they get 4 games to really kind of fine-tune before they take on a big-time opponent in Penn State. I just think they're sitting in a really good spot. But I'm impressed with the line of scrimmage play. And when you get line of scrimmage play like that, which is something Lanning has been focused on, that's going to give you an opportunity to compete against some of the more stout teams across the country, Penn State being one, the road trip to Iowa, Washington later in the year. Like, when you can win that battle up front, it makes the game so much easier. And the Ducks, unlike last year where they average about 4.5 yards a carry, they've been explosive in the run game. So I really like what I see. They look great. They look like a tremendous football team. And you know what they have? They just have talent. You look at their roster now, they just have talent, and they're deep across the board. Even the young receivers, that was the majority of people I talked to before the year, Burkhart, was they were concerned about the receiving group. So far early in the year, the receiving group looks explosive and talented, and with Moore spreading the ball around, it's like, okay, this is they're cooking with gasoline right now. I like it.
Yeah, the thing that they're doing right now for their blocks, it's absolutely wild how physical they are. When your tight ends and wide receivers are making highlights for their blocks, absolutely wild how physical they are. When your tight ends and wide receivers are making highlights for their blocks, you're playing a physical brand of ball, man.
All right, Chris Burkhart is hanging out with me in the first hour. Rip City Drive, you can reach out 503-248-0620. As I mentioned at the top of the show, it's always difficult on a day like today when we have tragic news that's impacting the country to do a sports show. So I will share my thoughts on the murder of Charlie Kirk later in the show. I think it's awful news, and I'll share my thoughts. So I'm trying to find that balance today. It's not easy to do a radio show in the midst of tragedy, but we're going to work through it together. And that's one thing that's great about radio is it's a community. So we'll work through it together. You can reach out 503-248-0620. You'll find me on X at Chad and Rip City. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Chris Burkhardt. All right, Chris Burkhardt hanging out in the studio with me for the first hour. Hope you're enjoying your day. Rip City Drive with Chad Doing. If you want to reach out, you can do so. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can find me on X at Chad and Rip City. And, of course, you can always go to YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. Be sure to like and subscribe to the page. You can watch any of our local shows and be able to stream that way. And don't forget, during Trailblazer season, each and every game is also available streaming on our iHeartRadio app. All right, Chris Burkhardt in studio. I said, dude, what are you hot on today? He said, football, man. And that's the beautiful thing because we're coming off a fabulous weekend with so many different games in college and the NFL. What did you think about that performance from J.J. McCarthy on Monday Night Football where he had 2.5 of the worst quarters you could imagine in his NFL debut? And then after the Bears missed the field goal, he started to catch fire. And what impressed me was he went from horrible play to all of a sudden executing the offense and delivering the football into some tight windows with anticipation. Like, that impressed me, and he showed some of the movement. And then I see the celebration on the sideline after the touchdown that put the game away, and you see the veterans coming over to dap him up and stuff. Like, that excited me for a young guy like J.J. McCarthy, who's very likable.
That's football, ain't it? That's football, ain't it? You got to get through those rough patches and then have those big games. But also, it was the Chicago Bears. I mean, come on. It's not as if they're beating the world, but that's what you want to see. I mean, you put them in that situation. Sometimes you're going to have those hiccups. Like I said, there was a lot of not great football around on Sunday and on Monday there. But when you trust your quarterback, you want him to come through in those clutch situations because sometimes it ain't what matters in the first quarter and the second quarter. If you can come through with the game on the line, all will be forgiven.
And that tells me a lot about a quarterback. When you can go through hell through 2.5 quarters, but yet find a way to bounce back and not lose yourself mentally or emotionally and continue to make plays, that tells me a lot about that guy. So I think if I'm a Viking fan, look, there's a long way to go, and I don't know exactly what they have in J.J. McCarthy, but I would be super encouraged as a Viking fan coming out of that game saying, hey, he showed us something. We got the win. We got a great defense. And that's the great part about McCarthy is that he doesn't have to do it all himself. They've got the right roster around him to where he can just be a distributor. Be the point guard. Don't try to do everything. And maybe that's the best way to get through a rookie season, true rookie season where you're trying to learn on the job. Surrounded with great people, a great offensive line, good defense, playmakers around him to help him understand that, hey, I don't have to make every throw. And that's a good place to be.
Well, I mean, look at the success that Brock Purdy had early. I know we all like to beat him up because everyone's like, oh, he's not that good. And, he took his lumps too. But part of the reason he succeeded so early on was flat out because why? The same thing you just said. The skill positions. He had running backs. He had tight ends. He had wide receivers. He had guys all he had to do was get the ball to, and good things were going to happen.
All right, we're trying to find the balance today from sports and, of course, real life and what's going on in the news with the murder of Charlie Kirk, which is awful, absolutely awful, and it makes it difficult to come in and do a show where you're just talking sports. But Brian in Hubbard wants to share some thoughts. Brian, I appreciate the call. First off, I apologize for not calling you after the show. I forgot, so shame on me, but sad day with the murder of Charlie Kirk. What's on your mind?
Sure. I appreciate it. And yeah, I look forward to, maybe getting a call after the show, but that's secondary. My nieces and nephews, I wasn't really involved. I never heard of Charlie Kirk till about a year or so ago after. And so I appreciate this venue to express. I just started kind of crying. I didn't understand when I came home from work why evil is in the world, but boy, it's a different fact. Evil's there, and I appreciate this avenue to just express that and prayers for his young little family. And I don't understand that it seems unbalanced, and I don't want to go political. I mean, I can remember Steve Scalise getting shot at a softball. Trump. I mean, I don't understand the political violent language, which there's a lot of kooky people out there can take it and then take those words and really go wild. But anyway, Chad, I didn't want to ramble. I appreciate and love you, and I know you're a public figure too, so you can't really go too to one side or the other. So I just appreciate you, and I'll just talk to you later.
All right, man. I appreciate it, buddy. Brian and Hubbard sharing his thoughts. Telephone number 503-248-0620. That is the telephone number. You can reach out and find me on X at Chad Rip City. Telephone number here at the show, 503-248-0620. So we'll continue to navigate the balance. But if you want to call and share your thoughts, if you're troubled, if your heart's hurting, like Brian's, you call in. We can talk about it. It's okay. You know, the best way to get through difficult times is to do so together. All right, another football game that crossed my mind on Sunday, one of the good ones, and it would have been the best until we got to Sunday night, but I really enjoyed that Jets-Steelers affair with Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields just trading, you know, body blow after body blow. Impressed by both players. Aaron Rodgers looked good, and I don't know if it was the motivation of going up against his former team or it's just the second year coming off the Achilles injury. But his movement, he's not as mobile as he used to be, but he showed movement. His arm talent is still there. But I thought he played a sensational game with 4 touchdowns, no picks. And then Justin Fields, every throw he made was on the money. He was dynamite as well. That was a great football game. But if I'm a Steeler fan, it's like, hey, we have a quarterback that's a legend. He gets rid of the football quickly. That's going to help our offensive line. And we won on a day where we probably shouldn't have won. That's a good place to be, too.
I love Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's such an enigma, right? Yeah. Like you know, like in like was that Batman Returns where like they get into Batman's head. Like you don't want to be in his head. Like that guy, like he's a riddle. Like he's so mysterious. And I love watching him play though.
Yeah.
And I thought it was good to see him have that type of performance. I think he needed it in front of his former team. I think he's got a little bit of juice left in that arm, which is good. I mean, part of me wouldn't mind going through a season. He's like, yeah, maybe I won't retire. I kind of like this organization. But I actually, as dumb as it sounds, I kind of came away more impressed with Justin Fields because I thought for the first time in a long time, he looked comfortable under center and behind that offensive line. He looked like a quarterback. So the Jets might have something there. And then I think if you're a Pittsburgh fan, you're sitting there go, okay, maybe we have some hope here too because Aaron Rodgers he's still got something. And he gets to throw the DK Metcalf, which honestly felt weird, did it not?
Yeah, it did.
It's like Aaron Rodgers to DK Metcalf across the middle. You're like, this is not right.
I actually walked away from the game, Jets and Steelers, and I was thinking, man, Justin Fields looked great. Maybe he just got the unfortunate luck of going to a bad team, a bad organization, and now that he's with a better coach that want to utilize his talent, I'm like, you might be able to build around Justin Fields. Like I walked away from the game thinking you might be able to build around him and win football games. And I also felt the same way about Daniel Jones. I know that those are classic week one overreactions, but I was really happy for Fields. I thought he looked great. But if I'm a Steeler fan, this game this weekend is going to be awesome. Seahawks at the Steelers. The Seahawks are going to be a little bit desperate after the loss to the 49ers. And then you get Aaron Rodgers, his first game at home with the Steelers, which I think is going to be terrific. But I love seeing great quarterback play. I thought that game was dynamite. But Justin Fields, I think it was Pro Football Focus. Like, he didn't make an off-target throw. Everything he put up in the air was on time, on target, which has been one big issue for him. Like a lot of young quarterbacks being on schedule. He didn't have an issue in that game. He was terrific. And then Rodgers, I just want to know what it's like to go from subpar quarterback play to all of a sudden having a Hall of Famer in the huddle, knowing like, oh, he's going to have us in the right play. He's going to run the offense on schedule. And if I'm in the right position, he's going to find me. Like as a player, a teammate on that offense with Rodgers, it's got to give you more confidence because you know if you're in the right place, he ain't going to mess up.
Yeah, that's like to go back to what I said about like him being an enigma.
Yeah.
How he's so mysterious. Like I'd love to be in his head because you and I were talking about this the other day, like what a quarterback sees at the line and what's going through their mind and what hot routes they're calling and what changes they're going to make. Like Aaron Rodgers he's one of the greatest of all time for a reason, right? So seeing those wheels turn and him make something out of nothing sometimes is just one of those things like I wish I could be the fly on the wall. You know?
Yeah, Drew Brees was talking about the Sean Payton offense last week. And I played it when you were in studio, and he was talking about all the different things that goes through his mind. But it was actually Rodgers. I forgot who his defensive line coach was early in his career with Green Bay. But he said that it was the defensive line coach that taught him about the fronts. So early in his career, he learned about the fronts, and he said that based on the front, when he gets up to the line of scrimmage, he knows with their position where the secondary is going to be after the ball is snapped. So it allows him, as he put it, to have his back to the play in play action because he knows when he turns to fire the football, he knows based on what he already saw pre-snap, based on the front where the secondary is going to be. And I'm like, to have that type of knowledge is just pretty impressive. But that's the type of study and work he put in. But that's Aaron Rodgers. And we saw it with maybe the right comparison would be Peyton Manning in that last year against Denver when he came back in after the foot injury. He did not have the arm strength or the athleticism. He was a iron deer in the pocket. But the way he was able to work through it and win a Super Bowl was his knowledge of the game. He had them in the right play, and he would use his cadence as an advantage. And that's Aaron Rodgers now. What he lacks in athleticism or what he doesn't have that he used to have, I think he'll be able to make up for that just by knowledge of game. So I think Ronnie Lott used to talk about that, where it was, young in the league, your body will get you where you need to be. But as you age, your mind gets you where you need to be because you understand the play and what the offense is trying to do. So it's like any of those vets, man. They've been around the game. It slows down. They understand where they need to be, and it helps them under those circumstances.
Well, you saw it firsthand. You're a Bronco fan, so you saw it with Peyton Manning. By the end of his tenure there, he was throwing wounded ducks.
It was horrible.
But he could still get the offense to move because he knew what to do and how to take advantage of those defenses. Wasn't the same. You still need the arm at some point. But, again, you saw the knowledge get him through that extra year.
The other thing that jumped out at me was just the superb play on Friday night by Justin Herbert. Probably his best game as a pro. I have been preaching about Justin Herbert now ever since he came in the league. I believe that he's a elite top 5 quarterback. I know that the quarterback tiers that came out, he was number 1 in tier number 2, and he was behind Matthew Stafford, who was tier 1. I think that's nonsense. I think Justin Herbert is a tier 1 quarterback. He just gets knocked because he hasn't had the postseason success yet, but he displayed everything that he's capable of in that game against Kansas City. And what I noticed, Burkhart, was last year he had the foot injury. So he was unable to really utilize his legs as a weapon like we saw with Oregon in the Rose Bowl, right? But now that he's healthy, he was looking. They had a couple of design runs for him, but on that game-sealing scramble, like when he's running with purpose like we saw, he's a deadly weapon because he's always going to be pocket, throw the football, make the right play first. But now that he's got the confidence in his foot, when he needs to move, he can do that. I just think he's awesome. He's who you want leading your franchise. Great cornerstone. Teammates love him. Very smart. He and Harbaugh have a good connection, and now he's got the mobility to make even more plays. I walked away happy for him because I'm a big fan, but, man, he looked dominant.
Oh, he did. The arm was there. The throws were there. And then, obviously, the feet, that game-sealing scramble, he did it in. And
how about the pose on the slide?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the slide was great. The slide was great. But I think, defenses will become wise to it. But when he's healthy, what makes him so hard in that is the fact that, like, he's not the best scrambler in the world, right? Like, he's not like he's not a Jalen Hurts type runner, right? He might not even be a Mahomes who moves pretty well too. But it's deceptive because you don't see a lot of guys with that height and thickness who can move like that as a quarterback, right? So it throws you off because what I noticed in that game, even more so than some of the runs he got in college, I was like, his acceleration, his ability to get to speed and get around the edge was good, and it saved him a couple times in that game. So you couple that threat with the fact that he can hit just about any throw on that field. They're a good team. That's a huge win for them in a division that's going to be. That one might come to the last week to see who wins that one. It's a huge victory.
It's a huge victory, and you can see Harbaugh's team now. It's still a process as he continues to get the guys he wants in there. But the toughness, what we're seeing with their defense, it's starting to take on the personality of Harbaugh, which is nice. And here's the advantage of a quarterback like Herbert. We were talking about, Aaron Rodgers making quick decisions. They lost their left tackle during camp, Rashawn Slater. That's a big loss when you lose your left tackle because he might be the best in the game at it. But when your quarterback gets rid of the football quickly because he knows what to do, it sure takes a lot of pressure off of maybe an inexperienced left tackle or injuries up front. You can survive injuries on the offensive line when you have a quarterback at the level of Justin Herbert because he'll just get rid of the football quicker. He's not going to hold on to the ball and make bad decisions, and that allows those guys up front to get the job done. I just thought that was a really awesome performance, and now I'm looking at the AFC West coming out of week number 1. Broncos defense looks like the best in the league. The Raiders look wildly improved, which is not a surprise with Pete Carroll because he provides direction and is laying a foundation. The Kansas City Chiefs struggled against the Chargers, but they still have Patrick Mahomes. Like, that division is super legit with 4 Hall of Fame coaches. I was impressed, man. Like, the Chargers are for real. I don't doubt that at all.
I think I think they might end up being the team that wins that division. I think they're the best top to bottom right now. Kansas City is still Kansas City. Like they got to be dethroned, right? But I think you look at the way that played out. Geno Smith looked great for Las Vegas. They got the job done. And then, for your team there too, week 1, it looked about as ugly as any team, but they got the win, which is important, right? And I don't think Bo Nix is going to look like a rookie all year long. He did in that game, but you got the win, which is what matters in that instance. So, yeah, man, this one, it's going to be a fun one to watch for sure. But all eyes for me right now are on Herbert because, again, I thought the Chargers looked great.
Yeah, I just want Sean Payton to shut up. Like, I know he's a great coach, but he's wildly arrogant, and he can't not capitalize on the opportunity to take shots at people. But all the talk about Bo Nix being a top 5 guy in 2 to 3 years, this is one of the 7 teams he's coached that has a chance to win the Super Bowl. It's like, I'm glad that you believe that and you want to voice that because you have confidence in your guys. But, let's just go game to game, man. Just go out there and work on it. But the offensive performance, I thought he didn't make good decisions. I don't know what the deal was. We'll see. What's intriguing to me is now they go to Indianapolis. What are the Colts? I thought they were one of the worst teams in football coming out of camp.
Right.
And then they go out there and torch the Dolphins, which are just a complete disaster right now.
Where's your buddy B-No? You need to get him back on.
I know. But what are the Broncos going to get on Sunday? Is it going to be Danny Dimes or is it going to be Daniel Jones going back to being what he is? The 2 quarterbacks that I'm confused about coming out of week 1, Justin Fields and Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Is that more of who they are, or is it just a mirage, a week 1 mirage, which happens all the time? Will they revert back to what we've seen over a larger sample size, or now that they're with better teams and better support, are they going to play better? I don't know the answer to that. So
yeah, you got to let it play out. But the thing is, you can't. The NFL can be weird because you can't just set sail on someone's career because they looked bad at one stop. I mean, look at Sam Darnold,
Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield,
right? And Baker Mayfield was on the cusp of his career being done. I mean, done. No one was going to give him a chance. He goes in, probably thankfully gets that win with the Rams, right? And looks good. And now he goes to Tampa Bay, and he's been his old self. And Sam Darnold, New York, Carolina, he was done for. Minnesota rejuvenates him.
Yeah, the 2 coaches, like if you can get the blessing from Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan, you're almost guaranteed to get another shot. I love seeing guys. Geno Smith would be a great example. He battled and struggled through his time with the Jets, and then he latched on, became a backup, got an opportunity to play under Pete Carroll, and rejuvenated his career, and he looked great in week number 1. So I love those redemption stories at quarterback when those guys get a chance to play. But, man, that was an awesome week 1, Burkhardt. Like, so many great games. And then Sunday night, the one thing that was very clear, at least through 1 week of football, like the Broncos, many teams have a long way to go to get to the level of Buffalo and Baltimore. Like you can tell that those 2 teams, even though Baltimore lost, I have no doubt that those 2 teams will meet again come postseason time.
Yeah, they're good.
Big boy football right there.
They are good.
And Josh Allen was a masterful in that fourth quarter.
And he's probably going to fumble maybe once. That was the one time that he fumbles, and he's probably going to fumble maybe once. That was the one time that he fumbles, and it turns the game on its head. But yeah, those 2 teams are destined to meet again.
All right, Chris Burkhardt's hanging out. Michael Schacker's with us. You can call the show at 503-248-0620. You can find us on social at Chen Rip City. What's your social, Burkhardt?
Chris J. Burkhardt.
Chris J. Burkhardt. And, of course, check us out on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, I want your opinion on Oregon State. All right, I want your opinion on Oregon State head coach Trent Bray. I saw comments from a variety of different people who thought his actions during the halftime interview with Nigel Burton were unprofessional because he dropped an F-bomb. Now, the way I look at this is I didn't have a problem with it because I really felt what he was feeling because I watched the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was a coach of a team and the punter, due to a poor snap, had to run and perform a soccer-style kick that was a worm burner, like a bad drive off the opening tee box, that was scooped up and then ran back for a touchdown, I would lose my mind as well. When you want and force coaches to do halftime interviews, you put yourself at risk of those type of situations where the emotions are really high. So I actually enjoyed the raw emotion that we got from Coach. I wasn't offended by it. Obviously, you don't want a coach dropping an F-bomb in that situation, but that's what you get sometimes when you put a mic in front of a coach who's really pissed off because his team has just stunk up the joint for 30 minutes. What's your read on that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that everyone wants their coaches to not be so buttoned up, right?
Yeah.
They get tired of coach speak and say, the PR campaign that they spin in the post-game press conferences. Come on, be real with us. Tell us what you're. And then when they do, that's a bit too much. Bring it back a little bit. Button that up just a little bit. Now, as soon as he said that, you knew exactly what was going through his mind. He was a coach who was irritated because he fully believed, because he said it to us again on Monday, that they were dominating that team. They should have been beating them by more, but their self-inflicted wounds took them out of it. Like, okay, when you make mental mistakes that are 100% in your control, no one is controlling how well you snap that football on a PAT except you, right? No one is controlling how well you snap that ball to your punter, and no one is controlling how well you corral that ball to punt it except you. Fresno State has nothing to do with that, right? Now, they could put pressure on you once you get it, and maybe they block a kick, but you were making mental mistakes that put you behind the eight ball and hurt you in the long run and just gave them free points or took some off the board. And, yeah, I can completely understand why he was irritated.
Yeah, that was a rough performance. And what's unfortunate now for the Beavs, because of schedule, their next two games are against Texas Tech and Oregon on the road. Those are two really good football teams. They're staring at 0-4 in the face. And I just feel bad for the Beavs because Trent Bray, I believe, is working his tail off to try and get it right. But when you bring in new faces, and I talked to Phil Steele, before the season, his big concern with Oregon State, he liked the work that Bray had done. He liked the talent he had brought in. But again, when you go heavy portal because you're trying to set the roster, sometimes it takes time for the continuity to be developed. And they're still working through that right now.
Yeah,
But the mental
absolutely.
mistakes are so tough.
It's because, again, it's the things that you can control, and so you got to make sure that you control those things. And you've had mental mistakes now in 2 consecutive games, and it does not get easier for them. It's not going to get easier at Texas Tech. It's not going to get easier at Oregon. Then you're going to come back home for Houston, who's not an easy out. Like you could realistically be looking at 0-4, 0-5 to start, and at that point, then you got to wonder if Trent Bray's the guy.
Yeah, Houston is favored against Colorado with that game coming up in a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But I like Trent Bray. I don't have an issue with what happened. Yes, would you prefer that your head coach doesn't drop an F-bomb on TV? Yes, of course. But he's a coach, and the emotions are high. And so when you put a mic in front of a coach under those circumstances, this will happen from time to time.
Quite frankly, with the amount of times that we put the microphone in front of them in those situations, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more.
Yeah.
And I say this as a talking head, as a journalist, a guy who's interviewed all these guys. I think the in-game interview is the biggest waste of time on television.
No, the coaches don't want to talk. They don't want to be there. They're trying to focus on the game and their team.
They want to get to their locker room. I don't think it's worth it.
The first thing that I thought when I saw that play go down with the worm burner punt and the scoop and score, it's the most Beaver play ever.
Right? Like,
that's what I thought.
I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, what just happened? Like, I saw it out of the corner of my eye because I hate when you have the Monday, you're letting me fill in for you, thankfully. I'm like, sweet, I get to watch football. And I'm like, really? You put the Ducks and the Beavers on at the same time. So you're doing like the back and forth. And right as I turn back to the Beavers, he's running it back. I'm like, oh, must have been a pick six. Oh, no, it was a punt return. Oh, no, it was something I've never seen before. Like, why? How does that happen?
I was talking to a guy who he likes to do first half wagers. He had a 2-teamer going, and all he needed was Oregon State to punt that football, and the clock would have run out, and he would have won the wager, and then that punt took place with the scoop and score, and he lost. He's like, that's dreadful. And I'm like, well, that's what happens when you gamble on kids. Those type of things happen. But I would have lost my mind. If they put a mic in front of me, I'm coaching that team after what I saw with the bad snap and the weird punt, scoop and score. Dude, it would have been X-rated. I would have lost my mind.
Which tells you something, because if you know anything about Chad is like accidentally dropped a bomb in a one-on-one conversation and goes, oh, I'm sorry. Like, that is not in Chad's everyday vocabulary.
No.
So if he would have spilled it on a halftime interview, you would have known you were irritated.
Yeah, my Nana, when I was younger, she was always really big on language. And she would always talk to me about cussing and how it was unnecessary. And so she encouraged me. She thought it was lazy. So she goes, find other ways to express yourself, even in moments of rage and anger, without relying on the 4-letter explicit. So I always tried to do that. But coaches, the thing is with coaches, like, if you've been around a coach, most coaches are like sailors, right?
Oh, yeah.
With their players and at practice. So I don't know. It's bizarre. I feel bad for the Beavs, but 0-4 is going to take place there because you know as well as I do, they're not going to beat Texas Tech or Oregon. So the question will be after the first 4 games, I'll be very curious to see how Trent Bray manages that situation, because at 0-4, they still have a chance to have a successful year with the schedule that's upcoming. But how Trent Bray is able to keep those guys together through the frustration, that's going to be the key. And if he's able to do it, that's going to tell me a lot about him, if he can keep the guys together.
And that's the key here. That's the key here. And I think if you're a Beaver fan, I think you got to just understand logically where things are at here, because it's going to get worse before it gets better, right? I think they're losing both those games on the road, and I think they're probably losing to Houston. I think you're looking at 0-5, but then you look at the back end of that schedule, the Tulanes of the world, Lafayette, Washington State twice. Washington State's not a,
They look good.
I mean, yeah, but I'm not saying like they're not a guaranteed going to take you out twice. Like those are a game you can win if you're riding high at the right time. So if you get through the rough patches when the water's smooth, you might be in a good spot. But you got to get through the rough patches.
Yeah. And this is unfortunately part of rebuilding a program. You've got to sometimes hit rock bottom before you can get to where you need to be. Same thing with Oklahoma State and what Mike Gundy's doing right now. They had 65 new players in June. It takes time to build a roster and start from scratch and retool the program. And
65.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective. That's larger than an NFL active roster.
Yeah. So I was trying to explain to my dad, I said, they're going through a rebuild. I said they had massive turnover in June. You can't possibly get that many guys ready and on the same page to start a football year or a football season that begins in late August. And then a couple of weeks after that, you're traveling to Eugene to take on one of the premier programs. That's not a good formula.
No, it's not. It's tough.
But that's what a lot of coaches are dealing with now, is having to every year. That's a tough place to be.
No, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. So hopefully
every year, that's a tough place to be.
No, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. So hopefully Trent can get through this one, because Beaver fans are down bad, and I don't like that.
Well, I appreciate you jumping in studio and hanging out with me, buddy.
I always like how you ask. Like I'm not going to say yes, or I'm waiting in the parking lot hoping you call.
Just being respectful, my friend. And I appreciate you filling in for me on Monday and taking care of business.
Heck yeah, man. It's fun.
All right, Chris Burkhardt, we'll keep things rolling. I appreciate your time today. Hope you're enjoying your Wednesday, even if the news is brutal. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, couple of programming notes. Coming up here in 20 minutes, Todd Bosma of your Portland Trailblazers is going to stop by, the in-arena host. I love Todd. He is a terrific human being, and I'll be spending a lot more time around him with the basketball season right around the corner. He's going to stop by to preview the Rip City Rally. And also, a week from Friday on the 19th, the Rip City Drive is going to be live on location in Gresham for the Rip City Rally. And so we'll get details on that coming up in 20 minutes. And Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio, will join the show tomorrow. So a lot of good things going on. And if you'd like to participate in the program, telephone number 503-248-0620. You can also find me on social at Chad and Rip City. The iHeartRadio app is a great way to stay up on the show. You can listen live and be able to podcast the program. And I am sorry for some of the coughs. I'm well now. I don't know what it was, but I came back from Disney. I've had chest congestion, but I think I'm about 100%, but I'm still hacking out some of that stuff. And I did not work out last week because I was still in recovery, but I worked out today, and that activity it's helped forcing out the rest of that nonsense. So if I cough and I can't hit my cough button in time, just forgive me, all right? I'm not trying to make gross noises into the microphone. I'm just letting you know what is going on. So if you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620. So this is how this went down today for me with the horrific news. You know, I was down, and I was getting ready to work out. I got my hair cut, had a couple other things to do, and I met my buddy Luke at his gym in downtown Portland. I had gotten a text message from my buddy Steve Hermanator, who is a good friend. I've worked with him in radio for years. And he's always sending me stuff, and I just saw a link in my phone. So I hit the link, and I saw this video of Charlie Kirk being shot. Now, the video was so graphic, I thought it was a fake, right? And I was getting ready to work out, so I didn't have time to really investigate. And I worked out, and then I got a couple other text messages saying that Charlie Kirk was dead. And that's when I realized that the video I had seen, unfortunately seen, was real. And it's awful, awful news. He was murdered today in Utah by a gunman at one of his campus stops. You know, he does this across the country. Well, he'll usually, set up on college campuses to open up a debate, to talk about different ideas and discuss different things that are going on in the world. And he wants to engage with other people and young minds, and did so with a lot of students. And I think he was only 31 years of age, young family, wife and young girls. And so it was awful, awful news. And the video, don't go looking for it. You don't need to see it. I wasn't given a fair warning about what it was. I just saw it, and now I can't unsee it, which is bad. So here's my take on this. I would say 3 good examples of people I listen to when I'm in YouTube mode, in no particular order. I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. I enjoy listening to Bill Maher, and I'm a big fan of Charlie Kirk. And those 3 guys share something in common that I'm a big believer in. They are willing to engage in discussion and debate with people on opposite ends of the political spectrum, or people who have different worldviews. And I love that. I love the discussion and the debate because I'm a big believer in the marketplace of ideas. Now, obviously, I grew up in a different time frame than some of you, but what I really do believe in is this. I do not like that we're at a place in society now where we have great division. I guess what I really care about more than anything else is relationship, meaning I care about people. I want to connect with people. I want people that I'm able to form. It matters a lot to me. And this means that I have friends and people I'm able to form. It matters a lot to me. And this means that I have friends and people from all sides of the political spectrum. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't care how you vote or who you support. What I really care about is, what type of person are you? Do you have integrity? Do you speak with honesty? Do you care about other people? Are you fun to be around? Are you someone that I can, share my life with and have a relationship with and be able to build each other up? I mean, that's really what matters to me. And I like the fact that, there are people out there that may not see the world the way I do, but we can have discussion about it. We can debate it. And with the marketplace of ideas, by having discussions with people you disagree with who might be on the opposite end of the political spectrum, I believe that's the way it should be. So you share ideas, and then hopefully the best ideas are the ones that we latch on to as we continue to try and construct different parts of our society. That's what I honestly care about. What I don't like are people who look at others and say, well, they're this or they're that. You know, they're a right winger, they're a Trumper, or they're a communist, or they're a socialist. And then they won't communicate with them because they don't see the world the way that they do. To me, that's crazy. What does it matter? Why can't you still be friends or have a relationship with people you disagree with? And so for me, I enjoy Rogan, love Charlie Kirk, and I'm a big fan of Bill Maher because they're the ones who are willing to engage in conversation, a discourse, because they care about people and they want to be able to discuss those different ideas and how they see the world. And so when I see this type of violence take place, yeah, it's awful. It's horrible. I mean, it's horrific. So that's where I stand on that. I'm always going to embrace people. I care about relationship. I really don't give a rip who you support or who you vote for. That's irrelevant to me. What I care about is, do you have integrity? Are you someone that wants to have relationship? And if so, then I'm your guy. I want to have friends like that. And I would prefer to have friends who don't all think alike and see the world exactly the same. To me, that's not fun and not realistic. And people vote for a variety of different reasons. Why they support who they support, there's many different reasons for why that is. But I'll tell you one thing. I don't care who you are, regardless of what end of the political spectrum you're on, you don't deserve to be on the recipient of that type of violence. And the worst part is as a dad, when you see young kids who you know are now going to be raised without a father because their dad was murdered, like that family's ruined now forever. It's never going to be the same. It's not. And so that's why it's disgusting, because I care about relationship and I want people to be able to have conversation and discourse. And so, yes, the evil, the hatred that exists in the world, it's sad. And so that news it made me sick to my stomach. But that's where I stand on that. I care about relationship. I want to have discourse. I want to have communication, even with the people that I disagree with, and share ideas. So that's where I stand on that. But it's awful. And, you know, really, it's one of those situations where I'm like, do I want to come in today? You know, it's talking sports is fun, but sometimes it's weird when you have awful things in the news go on and you got to come in and talk sports and continue on with the show. But that's what it is. But that's really me in a nutshell. I just care about relationship. I care about people, and I want to form those type of connections with people with different worldviews and people who are on opposite ends of the spectrum and people I disagree with. But most importantly, I want to listen to the people who don't see the world the way I do. I don't want to label them or criticize them because they supported this candidate or they support this mission or whatever. It's crazy stuff. So that's where I stand on that. And I would say this, that if you celebrate the demise of somebody else because you disagree with their political take, then, I mean, you're a disgusting person. That's gross. That's just awful. So there you have it. That's where I stand on that. So, yeah, today is not a fun day, you know, to talk about sports when there's, you know, evil that's taken place. But, you know, like anything else, we have to move on. I think it's also a good reminder, too, that, you know, the preciousness of life. Like, we are just a breath, just a mist, a passing one, here one day, gone the next. That's life. There are no guarantees for tomorrow. I'm not guaranteed it tomorrow. I'm not guaranteed tonight. All I have is right now. And life can disappear in a heartbeat. So a good reminder to all of us that even though we don't like to think about it, you know, live with the passion and understanding that your opportunities are right now. And that's the biggest thing I take away from it. It's like, wow, that's how precious life is. That's how quickly everything can change and you can be gone tomorrow. And so I just want to live with purpose, knowing that I'm not guaranteed it tomorrow. And I think as you get older, at least I've noticed that too, you start to understand that and start to, you know, appreciate the opportunities and the moments that you have. But I also understand the importance of family and relationship and connecting with people. And so there you have it. That's where I stand on that. That's the way I look at the world. and I appreciate people who are willing to engage and promote discourse with people they disagree with, because I think that's ultimately the best way to do things. Communicate. You don't shut off communication with someone you disagree with. You engage in conversation and work through your disagreements. And you know what? When you do that, you actually might learn something. You actually might hear something that causes you to investigate and study, and you might come away with a different take. That happens to me all the time. It's part of the reason why I love being out on the golf course, because I meet people from all different walks of life and people that have different ideas and see the world differently than I do. And I enjoy having, discourse on different things, and I learn stuff all the time. So, but I did appreciate Charlie. And he is a huge Oregon Duck fan. And I'm hoping that Dan Lanning and his team will do something to honor him. But he loved college football, big Ducks fan. But I did appreciate Charlie. And I also did have thoughts. I'm like, wow, he's got some balls to be out there in the open on these campuses having discourse with people that disagree with him, some people that hate him. But I also thought that, if you're going to die, doing so in a situation where you're doing exactly what you want to do and making a difference and standing up for what you believe in, like, I love those type of people. Even if I disagree with them, if you're someone with conviction that stands up for what you believe in and you live your life that way, I really appreciate that. Just like Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, remember when he would stand with his back to the flag because of his Muslim faith? He suffered great cost in his basketball career for his belief, but he didn't waver. He stood up for what he believed in. And I respect that. Even though I may disagree, I respect the fact that he was standing up for what he believed in. And I wish and hope that more people will do that. We need people with conviction that are willing to stand up for what they believe in. And that was Charlie. And he died in the process, unfortunately, at the hands of evil. But just don't look at the video. I mean, my God, I wish I could take that away. I've had those experiences in life where I'm like, I want to see that. Like that movie back in the day. Kids of the 80s know it, Faces of Death. Yeah, I thought that was a good idea until I watched it, and now I can't get those images out of my mind. Horrific. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Rip City Drive, Chad doing here. Telephone number 503-248-06. Going to be joined by two individuals. One is Todd Bosma. And also, we're going to be joined by Carrie Stoudemire from Moda Health. And we'll have the discussion and preview the Rip City Rally. I'll be out there in Gresham a week from Friday. You want to jump on board, 503-248-0620. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, coming up September 15th through the 19th, we celebrate the return of Trailblazer season with the Rip City Rally. I will be at the Gresham stop coming up a week from Friday, which is going to be awesome. And joining us right now to preview are two individuals, a good friend of mine, Todd Bosma, who is the Director of Game Operations for your Trailblazers, and also Carrie's Stoudemire Phillips, who is Moda Health's Vice President of DEI and Community Initiatives. Todd and Carrie, I appreciate you guys, Carice, coming on the show. I appreciate your time. And is it Carice? I want to make sure I get this right. How do you pronounce your name so I don't butcher it again?
It's okay. It's Karis, just like Paris with a.
All right, I got it. Todd, it's great to have you back on. You know what I love about this time of year is the Rip City Rally because basketball is back, and I don't know the origin. How many years have you guys been doing this now?
Yeah, this is the 11th year of the rally, and the origin actually takes its roots from back in 1970 when the city of Portland was awarded the Trailblazers franchise. Bill Schonley and Harry Glickman, they went around the state to try to drum up interest in a radio network and really took the state by storm, trying to raise some interest in this new thing called the Trailblazers. That's sort of the origin of it. So we revitalized it back in 2013 and created this Rip City Rally where it's really, like you said, an opportunity to start talking about basketball again and get out in the community. Now, we know the state of Oregon is big, right? And there's a lot of Trailblazer fans all over the place who will never come to a Trailblazers game, but they're avid fans. So this is an opportunity for us to reward their fandom by showing up in their communities, spending some time, doing some good work in all different kinds of schools that we're going to be visiting and inviting the community to come on down and play with us at the Rip City Fair and just reward their fandom and show up in their spot and just say, hey, we thank you for being a Trailblazer fan. The season's right around the corner. It is go time, and it all starts with the Rip City Rally.
Yeah, I love it, Todd. That's so awesome. And I love that you guys make an effort to get around the state to go to some of the smaller communities. And Karis, what's great, Moda Health is going to be making several donations in each of the communities. Can you guys talk about what your plan is and how you're going to be able to help out?
Absolutely. So in every city of all these stops for these 11 years, we have chosen a nonprofit partner in every one of those cities. And we choose a nonprofit partner that works with kids and specifically works with kids after school. We all know that 3 to 6 p.m. time period can be either really bad or really good. And so we really partner with those organizations that are helping out kids and helping out families, parents and guardians to have activities for kids during those times. And so next week, we are partnering with a nonprofit partner in each city. So Ontario, we're partnering with the Boys and Girls Club of Treasure Valley. In the city of Pendleton, we're partnering with their Parks and Rec department. In the Dalles, we're partnering with a nonprofit called You Think. And then we're rounding it out in Gresham and partnering with the Boys and Girls Club of Rockwood.
Gosh, that's awesome. Now, Todd, from my understanding, the events are basically twofold, right? Where you've got the fair, which will be in the afternoon from 4 to 6 with different activities going on. But in the morning, you guys will have a chance to visit schools and work with kids on promoting healthy habits. Can you talk about that just a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the great things that where we can partner with one of our fantastic community partners in Moda Health, and that is spending just time with the community, not just during the fair. But you're exactly right. We'll go in each stop. We'll make stops at the different schools. So we'll do an elementary school assembly where we'll talk to an entire elementary school, get them not just excited for the upcoming basketball season, but it's also the start of their school season. So how can we work with them to make sure that they have a productive school year? Talk about healthy, active lifestyles, getting enough rest, eating things, the right things, and then just having some fun. We'll bust out our big trikes and we'll have some contests going on. Then at the same time, we've got some of our youth basketball coaches going into the middle school, and we'll do PE takeovers for the day. So our youth basketball coaches will be the PE teachers for the day, and they'll do mini clinics as gym classes come on through. And then taking it a step further, we'll go into high schools and we'll do sort of a career panel where we've got members of not just the Trailblazer organization, but also Moda Health talking about their career journeys in either, basketball or through Moda and the insurance side, doing all that, just explaining to them how important those formative years in high school and then into college were and the steps they took to get to where they are now. So we're busy from sun up all the way to sundown. And like you said, it all culminates in the Rip City Fair. So from 4 to 6 o'clock, we'll close down the city street. We'll bring our sport court down. We've got activities for the kids. We've got activities for the adults. We've got dancers. We've got mascots. We've got giveaways galore. We've got the championship trophy. We've got those nonprofits that Karis just mentioned. They're down there, too, talking about the good work that they're going to use this donation that Moda Health just gave them, how we're going to put that back into the community, and really want to make sure we're leaving there people understanding that it's not Portland's team. The Trailblazers are Oregon's team, and we're just excited for the start of the season, and we're excited that we can reach out and touch fans all over the state.
That's terrific. Now, Karis, let me give you some of the numbers here. So this is going to be 11 years of the rally, so it's going to celebrate that. Since 2013, the rally has visited 38 cities, traveling over 5,800 miles, stretching across all of Oregon. This year, Moda Health and the Blazers will travel 756 miles across northern and eastern Oregon, with stops in Ontario on the 15th, Pendleton on the 17th, the Dalles on the 18th, and the final stop on the 19th in Gresham. Like, that's great for Moda because that's a lot of ground covered over that short period of time.
Absolutely. And just like the Blazers are Oregon's team, for Moda, we started as ODS way back in 1955, born and grown right here in the state of Oregon. And we have members and employees all over the state. And we encourage our members and our employees to come out. And we actually give some prizes away to folks that show their Moda Health insurance card at the Moda booth at each one of those fairs. So it's really an opportunity for us to give to our communities that support us as well. And for Moda, it was never about just putting our name on the building. It's called Moda Center, but it's always been about building healthier communities together. Moda and the Trailblazers, that has been our motto from the very beginning, building healthier communities and being better together. And so this we look forward to this. It's a lot of miles. We've built a lot of roads, but it's so much fun. And to be able to get out there and just get people hyped up about the Blazers season, and that's to be proud to be a Moda member, it's just a perfect partnership.
Now, Karis, for those who don't know, I mean, we know Moda Center, and people have heard of Moda Health with the name recognition and association with the Trailblazers. But for those who don't know, can you give us the basics behind Moda Health and what you guys do and specialize in?
Absolutely. So Moda, we do medical, pharmacy, and dental. So not just the health insurance that you would think of, but we have a pharmacy side and also the dental side. Started as a dental company, like I said, as ODS. And you may be familiar, people know Delta Dental. We are the Delta Dental of Oregon. And so with that, we are able to provide all three of those services for our members. We also have some subsidiaries to our company. So we have lots of lines of business that our overarching company is Moda.
That's terrific. Todd Bosma also with us. Todd, how cool is it going to be to get out to these different communities just to hear their excitement about the return of Damian Lillard? I think the baseline for what I've gotten is, hey, Chad, I don't care what he does on the floor. I'm just happy that Dame is back where he belongs.
Yeah, it's certainly great. You can see the smiles. I remember I was at the office, and my son is actually the one who texted me. He's like, oh, Dame's back. And I was like, oh, great, man. I'm glad he's playing again. Where's he playing? He goes, no, he's back. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is amazing. I loved it. It was great. No, I think, people are obviously excited about that. But beyond just the return of Dame and all those feel-good moments that we're going to have there, this is, we took a lot of great strides towards the second half of last season. So there's a lot to be optimistic about. How is Drew Holiday going to work in? The progression of Scoot, Shaden, we've got Denny for the second year. Donovan now, the space has been cleared up for him to get some more minutes. So I think there's a lot to be optimistic about, and there's a lot of pieces that Coach Billups has to put together and put in the right spot, but that's the beauty of it. And it all starts with kicking things off with the Rip City Rally, because we get through the rally, and then you've got about a week and a half, and then training camp's going to open, and then you've got another little week and a half, and then you've got preseason games, and then blinking, it's going to be opening night. We're playing games for real. So, but back to your question, going into these communities, just seeing people's faces light up when they see Blaze, when they see Douglas Fir, when they see members of the Blazer Dancers. We've got members of the broadcast team there, just to be able to interact with the Trailblazers brand and the Moda brand in their community is certainly something special. And so we're just trying to create some cool moments that they can have with the Trailblazers brand and play a little basketball, have a little fun, win some prizes, and get excited for the upcoming season. Because like I said earlier, there's going to be fans in Ontario and Pendleton, even in the Dalles, who may never, ever buy a ticket.
Yes.
And that's not what this event is about. This event is about rewarding people showing up in their communities and celebrating fandom all over the state. So we're just excited to be able to partner with MODA again on this great tour that we do. We try to spread out where we're going. You know, we're down south a couple of years ago. We were along the coast a couple of years ago. Now we're going back to Eastern Oregon, North Oregon, you name it. We've been there. But it's great because there's Blazer fans in every pocket of this state, and we're just excited to go hang out with them and have fun.
We're talking with Kara Stoudemire Phillips, who is the VP of DEI and Community Initiatives with MODA Health, and Todd Bosma, who is the Director of Game Operations and Events with your Trailblazers. Now, Karis, I'm curious, what is it like having a great partnership with the Trailblazers and the work you guys are able to do together and continuing to, get your word out? I'm just curious how that process works for you guys.
Yeah. So as I said, this partnership has been going since 2013. We started this rally right away. It was just something we got together and said, we have members everywhere. You all have fans everywhere. How do we bring those people together? So not just with the rally, but just in everything we do. We're always trying to figure out ways to bring people together. And just that mutual celebration of the journey to good health. That's what we're really, really focused on. When people think of insurance and you think, oh, they're just paying my claims. But for us, it's about being a partner with our members, building, again, getting them on a journey to good health. And so being able to partner with an organization like the Trailblazers, who have such a wide audience, have, just a great fandom. We have great fans in the state of Oregon. People love their Blazers. They go way back with their Blazers. And so for us to be able to have a partnership with an organization like that is just tremendous for us. And we keep renewing because it's something that we find really mutually beneficial for us to be able to partner with this organization. And so we're going to continue to build healthier communities together across this great state.
All right, Todd.
And I will say, Chad, just real quick, just to touch on that, it's great to be able to partner with MODA because, one, you already mentioned it. They put their money where their mouth is. They're not just putting their name on the rally or the building. They're showing up and donating money to these nonprofits in these communities. When we leave the elementary school, they're donating a whole bunch of brand new playground balls for these kids to have some brand new equipment to be able to play throughout the course of the year. So, they're really showing up in more ways than just putting names on different things too. So it's great to be able to partner with them.
That's awesome. Now, Todd, what year is this going to be for you with the season coming up, your time with the Trailblazers?
Man, you're going to make me say it out loud, aren't you? This is going to be my 27th season with the Trailblazers.
Gosh, that's so good.
And it's been a great ride, and I'm having as much fun today as I did day one. I'll tell you that much.
I've been looking around town for someone that doesn't like you, and I can't find anyone to speak poorly of you, man. You're the man. All right, Todd, I'll give you the final word. The Rip City Rally, which is going to kick off on the 15th in Ontario. You get the final say. Break it down.
Yeah, all I can say is if you're in Ontario, Pendleton, the Dalles, or Gresham, come on out to see us. We've got a whole list of schools that we're going to be visiting in elementary schools, PE takeovers, career panels, and, of course, all culminates every day at the Rip City Fair. Check out trailblazers.com. All the information is on there. If you are in the area, stop on by. You're going to have a good time, especially Gresham. That's the one closest to Portland, so we expect a big turnout there. So make sure that you see us down there on Friday, and we're going to have a great time, all part of the Rip City Rally presented by MODA Health. We can't wait to see you.
All right, Karis, I appreciate your time, Todd. I always enjoy talking with you. I can't wait to get out there on the 19th in Gresham, but I appreciate you guys making the show better, and it's time.
Dad, can I say one thing?
You can say whatever you want.
I just have to say, I was at Todd's very first game.
You were?
His very first Blazers. I was there. My cousin was playing for the Blazers back then, and I laughed with Todd, and I remembered his big presentation when they brought Todd Bosma to Portland.
What was it like? How much has he changed over the years, Karis?
It's been exciting to see his evolution. His energy has not changed at all, and he's just it's a treasure to our city. Really, we are lucky to have him.
Hey, Todd, I was at MODA Center yesterday.
That.
I love it, man. That's great. Todd, I was at MODA Center yesterday, and I saw the new video board and some of the goodies that are coming. It's awesome.
Oh, my gosh. People have no idea. There's some super cool, exciting things waiting for them at MODA Center this season. Can't wait.
Gosh, it's going to be great. I appreciate you, too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Chad. Talk to you soon, brother.
You got it. There you go. Yeah, Karis and Todd breaking it down. We got the Rip City Rally coming up, and I am going to be there on the 19th in Gresham, my favorite part of town. I love Gresham. I can't wait to get out there. All right, 503-248-0620. I will say I was at Moda yesterday for a meeting, and Kevin Kinghorn took me out to show me the new video boards. It is pretty good. I have seen the top of the mountain, and it is good. It's going to be a game-changing experience. The screen is unbelievable. And I'm not making it up. That's not hyperbole. That screen, the screens, the new video system is going to be off the chain. That's all I can say about that. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. I got a message from my guy, Tony in Boring. Gresham's pretty close to Boring. I may have to come and see you. Sorry to hear dude sent the video without notice. I'm sure you'll let him know never to do that again. Good night. Yeah, you're right. That was unfortunate. I didn't know what it was. It's just a link. I just clicked it, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, my God. I thought it was fake. I was like, that's not real. And then I got a couple of text messages that Charlie Kirk had been shot. So don't look at the video. That's all I'm saying. Don't do it. You don't need to. It's not going to enhance your life. And you know how it is with things. Yeah, half the stuff I was told when I was young, I didn't understand. Like, you don't want to do that. But there are certain images you can't get out of your mind. That would be one of them. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. And the family is now ruined. And their life is never going to be the same. And I hate it. It sucks. But the Rip City Rally is going to be great, kicking off in Ontario on the 15th. Ontario on the 15th, Pendleton the 17th, the Dalles on the 18th, and then Gresham on the 19th. And I'll be there live on site with the Rip City Drive from 3 until 6. Let's go out to John, who's in Gresham. John, my friend, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, what'd you make of Patrick Mahomes and his comments about the Charger game, the officiating, and then comments about Justin Herbert?
Well, I just think that Mahomes is so used to getting everything his way. My biggest issue with Mahomes is he was trucking guys on the sideline who were letting up because they don't want to get a flag thrown on them. And my thought is that if guys are pulling up because they don't want to get the flag thrown and you drop a shoulder on them, that's a cheap shot. So I think Mahomes threw a couple of cheap shots, and it was frustrating. And I don't feel sorry for Kansas City feeling like they didn't get the benefit of the doubt with the whistle. They've been getting that for like 8 years.
Exactly. I was surprised that he said that, and then he was talking. I don't know what he accused Herbert of. If he thought he might have been doping or something like that.
Well, I think he was just joking about Herbert. Herbert looks great, man. How great did Herbert look with his movement? His foot's healthy and his arm strength. He was Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, he looks like a Herbert we know and love.
No doubt about it, my friend. Well, dude, enjoy your afternoon. That's my man John out there in Gresham. Good old John Wakeman. And we still need to connect and communicate, John. All right, 5 We got some sunshine popping out now. All right, 5 noon. We got some sunshine popping out now. All right, 503-248-0620. Brian No, Fox Sports Radio on the show tomorrow, talking ball. This is your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Well, I'll tell you one thing. It doesn't suck to be a Denver Broncos fan. I knew life was going to be good when the Walton Penner Group took over. They have more money than anybody else in the NFL, and that allows you to do business the right way. They're going to build a brand new stadium for the Denver Broncos with private money. Zero tax dollars involved. They just bought up a bunch of land, and they're going to build a brand new stadium with a retractable roof and natural grass to ensure that they get a Super Bowl. And it's expected to be ready around 2030. There you have it. And that's the way it should be. These billionaires have been getting over for a long time where they use public money to help finance their big stadiums. And I've always been willing to pay tax dollars to keep my sports teams in the area. You know, I was very thankful for Paul Allen when he kept the NFL in Seattle so I could continue to go up each year to see the Broncos play. But it's one of the biggest coups of all time. But the Walton Penner Group's going to do it with private money. And they've got the cash to do it. They bought up a bunch of land. They're going to have a brand new stadium. And finally, one of the great fan bases and NFL cities will eventually get a Super Bowl. But that's pretty dope, man. You're in Denver, retractable roof, and a freaking grass field. Because the owner knows, Greg Penner, that he doesn't want his players playing on the artificial surface. And I've never understood that, to be honest with you. I know that some of these guys, for being super rich, are kind of cheap. But the fact that they allow their guys to play on artificial surface of any kind is complete nonsense when they've got the money to figure it out to get natural surface. If I owned a team and I was spending millions, many millions of dollars on the roster with high-level athletes, I would want them to be as protected as possible. That's all. I'm going to protect my investment and make sure my guys have a less chance of being hurt, of being injured. And the turf is no way to go. But there you have it. Zero tax dollars for the Broncos' new stadium. Now, the weird thing is, I think Mile High Stadium, the current Empower Field at Mile High, the first season of play was 2001. The first home game was September 10th, 2001, the night before 9/11, against the New York Football Giants. So it's what now? 24 years old? It's amazing that much time has gone by. But there you have it. Ownership matters. Retractable roof and natural grass field. No public funding. Penners are paying the whole freight for the stadium. And sure, mixed-use neighborhood. No new taxes. City of Denver will pay for roads and exit ramps, transportation infrastructure. And there you have it. Very nice. Denver Water sold 25 acres to the Broncos for the site. That's going to be awesome. So I grew up with Mile High Stadium. That got taken down, and the Broncos then played in Invesco Field at Mile High. And this will be taken down and eventually have a brand new stadium with a retractable roof. And I've never understood that. Like, I do like the elements being part of the game. But if you play in a cold weather city, why would you want that to impact your game? I guess it could be a major advantage if you play in New England or Buffalo and you're accustomed to it. But, man, as a fan, sitting out in the cold sucks. You're sitting there freezing your balls off watching a game. And I've done it many a times. But I do like the idea of having some protection from the elements. I'm okay with that. Maybe it's because I'm older now. I do not want to be one of the dudes shirtless in the stands freezing my tail off. I don't need that. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You know, last week was kind of a light week on the schedule for college football. The NFL matchups this week on paper don't appear to be good. We'll see how that plays out over the course of time. But I'm excited for the next week. Week 1 was awesome. So the Thursday nighter coming up tomorrow, Commanders at the Packers. Right now, Green Bay a 3.5-point favorite. That's going to be epic. Jags are at the Bengals. Both teams 1-0. Jaguars hammered the Panthers. The Bengals survived the Browns. Shouldn't have won the game, but they did. Giants are at the Cowboys. Bears at the Lions. A little desperation there for two teams that dropped their opener. The Bears fumbled away a game against the Vikings on Monday Night Football, and the Lions got curb stomped in Green Bay. Also, the Rams at 1-0 after beating the Texans with a good defensive performance are going to be at the Titans, who are working through the rookie season of Cam Ward. I thought Ward showed great poise under immense pressure against the Bronco defense. Patriots are at the Dolphins. Both teams 1-0, and the Dolphins right now look like a team that's on the verge of disaster. Like they stunk up the joint in Indianapolis. And their coach, Mike McDaniel, on the hot seat. 49ers are at the Saints. San Francisco banged up, showed toughness, got the win. Gritty effort from Brock Purdy over the Hawks in Seattle. And the Saints lose at home to the Cardinals. New Orleans just sucks. Probably the worst team in football. Right up there with Miami and eventually Cleveland. And we'll find out. We'll see. Bills are at the Jets. Suddenly a very interesting game. Bills favored by 6.5. I want to know if the Justin Fields we saw in week 1 against Pittsburgh is the Justin Fields we're going to see throughout the year, or if that was a week 1 mirage. One of the best games of the day, Seahawks at the Steelers, 10 o'clock kick on Fox. Pittsburgh favored by 2.5. Right now, I kind of like the Seahawks in that game, getting points with their defense. Browns at the Ravens, Baltimore favored by 11.5. The Browns played well enough to beat the Bengals, but came up short because their kicker is a buffoon. And then the Ravens, thanks to a couple of poor decisions from their head coach and a fumble from Derrick Henry, blew a 15-point lead late in that game against Buffalo in a wild affair. Broncos are at the Colts, favored by 1.5. We know that Denver's defense is legit, probably the best in the league. But Bo Nix in the offense was a complete disaster against Tennessee. And then the question with the Colts is, who throttled Miami? Who's Daniel Jones? Is it going to be Danny Dimes, or is it going to be Danny, I want to forget about you? Which quarterback is showing up on Sunday? As a Bronco fan, I'm a little bit nervous about that game. In fact, right now, I think the Colts are going to beat them. Panthers at the Cardinals, hideous. Eagles at the Chiefs, a phenomenal game. Right now, Philly favored by 1.5. Now, this is a classic situation where you got Mahomes at home as an underdog. Now, my initial thought is, yeah, the Chiefs are going to bounce back and win after losing the opener to the Chargers. But after what I saw with their defense looking slow and their offensive line not looking so good, are they suddenly going to get right against one of the best teams in football? Or is their offensive line going to get clowned and then all sorts of pressure? It's going to be like a jailbreak, and Mahomes is going to be running for his life. If you've got to get right, I'm not sure you want to play the Eagles. That team is legit. Falcons at the Vikes. Minnesota favored by 3.5. J.J. McCarthy 1-0 after that comeback against the Bame. And then one of the most hated rivalries in football, Justin Herbert and the Chargers at the Raiders. Chargers dominated the Chiefs. Herbert played his best game of his young career. And the Raiders looked like a team that knew what they were doing because they have a head coach now, Pete Carroll, in their victory on the road against New England. All right, we'll keep things rolling. You got the Rip City Drive. I'm Chad Doing. This is your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. I think there might be a lot of Duck fans who are really enjoying the fact that the Beavers are not playing good football. Okay. The clown looking full warms your heart every day at every play. Okay. There you have it. Looking full warms your heart every day at every play. Okay. There you have it. Now, I will say this about the Beavs after back-to-back brutal losses to Cal and then Fresno State. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it through the year. And I am very concerned about Trent Bray right now. I understand it, but I'm concerned. He might just short circuit. It's been a rough go so far for Trent Bray and company. Just saying. Here's Trent Bray during a halftime interview with Ron Callen going back to the Cal game. Let's check in with this.
Let's send it down to Ron Callen.
Let's face it, you had to be upset after getting a 3 and out, and then they had the penalty.
It was, yeah, it was. That's on coaching. It's us. That was the kids did a great job forcing a 3 and out to start the game.
Yet in the second quarter, you guys got better. You're back in this game, and you get the ball first in the third quarter. What's going to be your message to the troops?
Yeah, we just got to calm down and play. I mean, they're not doing anything we haven't seen our own offense do or practice against for 9 months. So we just got to go out and play.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
All right. Trent shares how he felt about that 3 and out, and it reminded me of one of the greats of all time, and John L. Smith, coming off at one of those exit interviews at halftime at Michigan State and saying, the kids are doing a great job. It's all on the coaches. We're screwing it up. You know, I mean, that type of thing. I remember John L. with kind of a famous rant coming off the field. Rarely do you get the type of stuff we just heard or that you would get from John L. Smith at Michigan State.
All right, there's Mike Parker and Jim Wilson enjoying the halftime interview between Ron Callen and Trent Bray, going back to the opener. Also, I got a lot of emails flying around on this one. Apparently, a player had a bit of an issue with a live mic. You know when the referee goes to make the call, like holding number 77 offense, his mic is live, which means everybody in the stadium can hear not only the ref, but anything that might be said around the ref. This is what took place. And I love Jim Wilson's response, too, by the way.
Trent Walker to the left. David Wells right. Handoff to Anthony Hankerson. Runs hard to his left, and a penalty flag comes out. And well, the Beavers had just one penalty through about the first 28 minutes of this football game.
But that has changed
with 5. Yeah, and it's changed dramatically now. And another one coming
holding
here.
Offense, number 64, 10-yard penalty. Just down.
That might have been a player walking by a live mic on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been. That may have been a player walking by a live mic, Jim. Huh. Love that. Dropping the F-bomb. And then week 2 took place. Even worse. I would say the performance against Fresno State was worse than what we saw against Cal, in my humble opinion. But I'm just one man. But I was feeling great angst after watching the first half. And the icing on top of the beaver cake was the punter trying to run around and kick a ball like a soccer ball. It was a worm burner, like a bad drive off the opening tee box, scooped up by Fresno State and returned for a touchdown. I don't know about you, but if I were coaching a team that just did that, I would lose my mind as well. And that resulted in former Husky Nigel Burton being on the end of this with Coach Bray.
How do you tell your team in the locker room to settle everybody down and finish this thing off?
Yeah, we're fine. I mean, we've allowed ourselves to create their success, both in special teams, right, and then on big plays on defense. 2 long runs for touchdowns that shouldn't exist. They did nothing to harm us. We got to stop killing ourselves.
Appreciate the time, Coach.
I love Nigel, too. Appreciate the time. Really, there's no follow-up needed at that point.
For him to then turn around.
It's just no follow-up needed at that point. None. 0.
How do you tell your team in the locker room to settle everybody down and finish this thing off?
Yeah, we're fine. I mean, we've allowed ourselves to create their success, both in special teams, right, and then on big plays on defense. 2 long runs for touchdowns that shouldn't exist. They did nothing to harm us. We got to stop killing ourselves.
Appreciate the time, Coach.
Yeah, appreciate the time. Sorry to aggravate you with questions. Now, we've had a player get loose with an F-bomb. Trent Bray melting down on back-to-back halftime interviews. There's really only one thing that is left to make sure that this Beaver season is complete. And that's why I'm asking that for once and for all, can we please get back to real Mike Parker, okay? I'm tired of this more gentle Mike Parker. And no disrespect to Parker. Like, I love him. I love all versions of Mike Parker. Longtime voice of the Beavs. But life is better when Mike Parker is mad and loses it behind the mic. It's like, hey, Mike, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. You forgot more about broadcasting than I could ever possibly know. But if people have to sit through these games, you might as well entertain. No pressure, okay? You might need to step in and provide a little entertainment for Coach Breuer. He may not survive. He's going to short circuit, buddy.
Overton front court to Thomas, and Isaiah bumped on the way up. Oh, and they're counting the basket. He's counting the basket.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding?
Isaiah Thomas to the line.
You got to love the 5-second delay where Parker, after losing his mind on the ref, it took him time to reposition and get his headset back on. Like, what's better than that? He let the ref know that whatever call he made sucked. And I respect that.
Terrible call. And he ought to be teed up. Then is he horse collared at the 8? Yes.
Nothing better than when he just starts punching Jim Wilson after a horrific play. I don't know how Mike Parker, I got to give him credit. I know it's still inside of him. It's like the devil inside. It's like, come on, Mike, let it out, man. Hey, Parker, we're friends. I respect you. You got to let that stuff out. It's going to harm your health if you keep it inside. We need him to get violent again behind the microphone.
Oh, my goodness. This is a waste of humanity's time. Yeah. That ball's foul, Jim.
By 10 feet.
Yeah, man, that ball, what?
By 10.
Are they asking for, are Cincinnati asking for that to be looked at? Is that the deal? We'll get this tailgate going early with a Go Beavs. Very good.
Yeah, none of it's very good right now. I don't think there's going to be many tailgates with an 0-4 start. That Texas Tech game could get a little out of hand. I give the Beavs a 0% chance of winning that one. And I'm not even being a hater. I just know that what I'm seeing right now is not acceptable. They just have to weather the storm through the first 4 games. And then maybe Dan Lanning will have some mercy in the Civil War.
Very good.
It's not good, man. It's not good. Let's get this party started.
We'll get this tailgate going early with a Go Beavs. Very good. Terrible call! And he ought to be teed up! Travis, it's a good question. It's an important question. And I believe we're moving towards an answer, closure to that question and that issue. Oh, my goodness. This is a waste of humanity's time.
Well said, my friend. Well said. So I would say of the 3 clips I just played, I love the giggles. I do love the 2 of them. Oh, that might have been a player. Is that a player on the hot mic? I'm not sure.
Do you tell your team in the locker room to settle everybody down and finish this thing off?
Yeah, we're fine. I mean, we've allowed ourselves to create their success, both in special teams, right, and then on big plays on defense. 2 long runs for touchdowns that shouldn't exist. They did nothing to harm us. We got to stop killing ourselves.
Appreciate the time, Coach.
Appreciate the time, brother. Thank you.
Trent Walker to the left. David Wells right. Handoff to Anthony Hankerson. Runs hard to his left, and a penalty flag comes out. And the Beavers had just 1 penalty through about the first 28 minutes of this football game.
And
but that has
finished with
changed.
5.
Yeah, and it's changed dramatically now. And another one coming
Holding
here.
offense, number 64, 10-yard penalty. First down.
That might have been a player walking by a live mic on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been. It may have been a player. Yeah. Emails flew around the station on that one. All right, there you have it. I don't know what to say, man. But that game, that punt, that was the most Beaver thing I've ever seen right there. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620. I don't see any issues. Yeah, Oregon's in a great spot right now. They won't have any issues with Northwestern. I'm surprised they haven't, contracted that program yet. Northwestern's a joke. Oregon's going to pound them. They'll come back home and pound Oregon State, and then we get ready for some real football with Penn State. That's going to be an epic game. And I mentioned the schedule. Monster games on that final Saturday in September. But I think Oregon looks great. I think Ohio State looks great. Penn State also looks really good. I just don't buy them until I see them do it in a big game. But we'll see how things continue to shake out. But those teams, very impressive. Ohio State, 2-0. I think what's impressive to me is just the play of Julian Sand, the young quarterback, under control, being a point guard, distributing, and knowing that he's got great players around him. That's very helpful. Penn State also 2-0. Their early schedule is a joke. So they'll be undefeated. Plus, they get the bye week before the Oregon game. They probably have the best offensive line of college football, and they've got experience at quarterback. But we don't know yet because they haven't played anyone. LSU, number 3, they look legit. That defensive performance and the way they clamp down on Clemson in the opener, they're for real. Now, they have a tough schedule, but I think LSU is a team. Be careful messing around with them. Great defense. Great work by Brian Kelly. Oregon, number 4, and they look great. Oregon has been dominant. Now, again, they haven't played anybody, but from what I've seen with their offensive line, the continuity there, the explosion in the run game, the dynamic play from Dante Moore, and their secondary being elite and their defensive tackles being awesome, Oregon's in a great spot. And they'll be 4-0 going into the game against Penn State. Miami, got to give props to Mario Cristobal, who once again has used his mastery to build an offensive line, and they run between the tackles. They want to push you off the ball. They want to run it, and they're getting great play from Carson Beck. Miami, not Clemson, may be the team to beat in the ACC. And if it's not Miami, it might be Florida State, who looks great. Georgia, not impressed with the offense, but they're unbeaten. But I know that they have talent, and I know their defense is going to be super legit. They'll play Bama the same weekend that Oregon plays Penn State. Texas, I'm not sure what's up with Arch Manning, but I can say this much about them. They don't look like a team that's going to win a national championship, and I'm all for it. I don't like Texas. I respect Steve Sarkisian, but I'm not a Texas guy. But Arch Manning right now is struggling. Notre Dame, big game this weekend against A&M. We'll find out more about them. I thought they played well against Miami. I was just surprised. Florida State at number 10 behind Illinois for some dumb reason. Line. Florida State at number 10 behind Illinois for some dumb reason. I think Florida State is legit. What a job by Mike Norvell. And Illinois, they're the same team I thought they were. Not as good as Ohio State, Oregon, or Penn State, but they won 10 games last year. They have the majority of their starters returning, and they're unbeaten right now. And they had a good win on the road at Duke over the weekend. South Carolina looks pretty good. Oklahoma was impressive. John Mateer in that victory over Michigan. So we'll see. It's early, but I would say the teams that look the most impressive through my eyes, Ohio State, in no particular order. Ohio State, LSU, and Miami, based on the wins that they've had. But Oregon's going to get their chance, too. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Rip City Drive Chat doing here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, taking a look at some of the top 25 games coming up this weekend. On Friday night in the Big Ten Network at 3:30, Indiana State is at Indiana. See, if Larry Bird were still playing for the Sycamores, I would watch that game, but he's not. Indiana should destroy them. Oregon at Northwestern, 9 o'clock on Fox on Saturday morning. The Ducks favored by 28.5, basically the same number they were against Oklahoma State. At 9 on ESPN, number 12, Clemson at Georgia Tech. And right now, Clemson, a 2.5-point favorite. That line's coming down. Dangerous game for Clemson. They're not playing well right now. They struggled and were down big at halftime to Troy, but they scored 24 unanswered to win that game. And Georgia Tech's a difficult team to play for. They run the football extremely well. Physical football team. At 9 on ESPN2, Oklahoma coming off the win over Michigan, number 13th ranked. John Mateer playing well. They're a 21.5-point favorite at Temple. And Temple's one of those schools where I'm like, I know they play basketball, but every once in a while I need to be reminded they play football. At 9 on ABC, Wisconsin at number 19, Alabama. At 9 on Big Ten Network, Central Michigan is at number 23, Michigan, as the Wolverines try to bounce back from that loss at Oklahoma. At 9:45 on SEC Network, South Alabama at Auburn. And the Tigers 2-0 and ranked number 24. 12:30 on FS1, Villanova Basketball School at number 2, Penn State. One of those preseason bums that the Nittany Lions lined up. And they will play this game and then get a bye week before they face Oregon. At 12:30 on ABC, number 6, Georgia, at number 15, Tennessee. Probably your game of the week. Right now, Georgia favored by 3.5. Now, I like a lot about what the Volunteers have done so far this year, but you and I both know that Kirby Smart's not going to lose that game. He'll find a way, but I expect a close battle. The problem with the Bulldogs is like their offense looks very mediocre, but they're so good at the line of scrimmage and their defense is so smothering that they just can force you to play their style of game. At 12:30 on Fox, Oregon State at number 21, Texas Tech. The Red Raiders are 23.5-point favorites. And I'm just warning you right now, B fans, that game could get really bad. It could get ugly quick. Not that you need me to tell you that. I think you're aware. ESPN2 at 1, number 14, Iowa State at Arkansas State. Iowa State coming off the bloodbath, which is the Cyhawk game, and got the long field goal to top Iowa. Number 25, Missouri 2-0. They will host Louisiana, 1 o'clock on ESPN. At 1:15 on the SEC Network, UTEP at number 7, Texas. The Longhorns a 41.5-point favorite. And I'm telling you right now, Texas and the way Arch is playing, I don't know what the problem is, whether he just stinks at football or there's an injury or whatever the situation may be. They're not a team that looks like can contend for a championship today. We'll see if it changes. This is going to be a good one. South Florida, ranked 18th in the country, 2-0 at number 5, Miami, 1:30 on the CW. And how about the CW getting a big-time matchup? And, of course, South Florida coming off the 18-16 victory over Florida in a bit of a shocker. That is a good football game. 17.5-point favorites, the Hurricanes are. At 4 on Peacock, Ohio's at number 1, Ohio State. Hideous game. At 4 on FS1, Western Michigan. The Broncos are at number 9, Illinois. The Fighting Illini, 27.5-point favorite. And like I said with Illinois, good football team, and they're going to have another good year. They got a lot of starters back from last year's squad, the 110. I just don't think they have the talent to compete with the upper echelon in the conference, Oregon and Ohio State and Penn State. Another good game, Arkansas at 4 on ESPN at number 17, Ole Miss. Both teams 2-0. The Rebs are 7.5-point favorites. At 4:30 on ABC, Florida, trying to bounce back after that shocking loss to South Florida. At number 3, LSU. And the Tigers, I think one of the better teams in the country. They're favored by 7.5, but I love their defense. Notre Dame and Texas A&M. Irish ranked 8th. This is their second game. They're hosting number 16, Texas A&M, who's 2-0. That is going to be a dogfight. Great football game. Vandy's at South Carolina. Both teams 2-0. Gamecocks ranked 11th. And right now, South Carolina, a 4.5-point favorite. And then number 20, Utah, who's looked good early in the season, a 23.5-point favorite at Wyoming. And those are the top 25 matchups. So a better slate on paper than what we had last weekend, although some of the games turned out to be great. The barn burner was that Arizona State-Mississippi State game where Kenny Dillingham once again made a bad decision. Instead of playing prevent, decided to bring the pressure on 3rd and 9 with under a minute to play and gave up a 59-yard touchdown after his team had scored 20 straight to take the lead and took control of the game. They blew it. They're going to host Texas State this weekend. Telephone number 503-248-0620. Well, I had mentioned it earlier. You know, today is not the ideal day to do a radio show. The news has been horrific. I was in the middle of like 20 different things, and I had arrived at the club to work out with Luke. Wednesdays are our full-body, high-intensity workout days. I had a message from a buddy of mine, Steve Herman, and I opened it up, and it was just a link. It was an X link, and so I hit the link not knowing what it was, and then I saw a video of Charlie Kirk being gunned down, and the video was so horrific that I thought it was a fake. Like, I thought it was a fake video. I'm like, well, that's kind of disgusting. So I put my phone away and then worked out, and then I had a message from a couple other people and got the news that Charlie Kirk had died, that he, in fact, was shot down in what was a political assassination. Well, it's horrible news, and for a variety of different reasons. And I'm suggesting to you, don't scroll around on Twitter. Don't put yourself in a position where you're just going to see the video. You don't want to see it, okay? I didn't know what I was looking at, and then I saw it. Now I can't get the visual out of my mind, and so I regret that. And I wasn't given fair warning with the link, like beware, graphic video. No, I didn't get that. But I guess what really bothers me is what has happened in our country in terms of, you know, the political discourse. I would say the three best examples, you know, I get stuck in YouTube mode all the time, so I'm always listening to short clips or different videos. It could be sports, it could be politics, it could be music, whatever the case may be. I love being on YouTube, and there are a few people that jump out as people I like to watch. Bill Maher, Joe Rogan, and Charlie Kirk. What I appreciate about all three of those, and all three of those individuals are on different parts of the political spectrum. But what I enjoy is that all three are willing to engage in conversation with people who don't see the world the way they do, because they're trying to learn. Those three individuals I mentioned in Kirk, Maher, and Rogan want to have discourse. They want to connect with people and share ideas, and in hopes of making, you know, the world and our country a better place. And I respect that approach. I like people that are willing to engage in conversation and share ideas, even with people that they vehemently disagree with. I'm a big believer in the marketplace of ideas. I think people should be able to and feel free to share their ideas, even if they're not good ones, or even if people think they might be a little bit crazy. You should be able to share your ideas. And then through the marketplace of ideas, hopefully we have a chance to look at all the different options out there. And we make the choices. We choose the best ideas and move forward. I've never understood why you wouldn't want to communicate with or have a relationship with someone who doesn't see the world the way that you do. I've often learned a lot from people that I don't share the same worldview with, but by having conversation and connection with them, I learn things. Sometimes I'll learn something that will cause me to look at something a little bit differently. But I care about relationship. I care about connecting with people. So I got to be honest with you. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care what party you support, your worldview. The most important thing to me is, like, do you care about relationship? Do you have integrity? Are you a person of your word? And if you are, then I want to be your friend. I want to connect with you. We don't have to see the world the same way. And how boring is that if you just connect with and only spend time around people that see the world exactly the way you do? I just don't think that's a great way to live. I think that you should spend time communicating with others who don't see the world the way that you do. And I know a lot of people that are like that now, where they're like, well, they are on this side or that side. I don't want to spend time around them. So really, you're going to let someone's political view prevent you from connecting? So that's just how I see it. And that's why I enjoy those three individuals, because I like it. I like hearing people from all sides have conversation and sharing ideas. But the political violence is crazy. I don't care who you voted for, what your stance is. You should be able to share your ideas without fear of being gunned down in public. It's awful. I mean, that's not the type of world I want my children to grow up in. So it's sad. It's a sad day to see these type of things take place, especially with live stream in a public forum. It's freaking awful. It's terrible. So I just want to continue to move forward, connecting with people. And I do believe that the best way to break down the unrest and the division in this country is by communicating. The best thing to do is to communicate, especially with those you disagree with, not to run and hide, not to try to silence somebody. No, communicate. Share your ideas. If you think someone is off base with the way they see something, then communicate about it. Share your ideas, your thoughts, and then maybe they're able to learn something from you as well. So that's how I operate. That's how I see it. And I have people who are friends who don't see the world the way I do, and I'm okay with that. I'm never going to shun someone because they didn't vote the way I did. That is absolutely absurd. So very depressing. And what's really sad as a father is knowing that, his family's destroyed now. And his young kids are going to have to grow up without a dad. And I hate to see that kind of stuff too. But it is weird to come into work. I talk sports. It's kind of a less than serious most of the time. There are times where we have to deal with death. We've had several Trailblazers pass away. I would say probably the hardest show that I've had to do up to this point in my time on radio was shortly after both the Clackamas and the Sandy Hook shootings, because there's times where the stories in the news or what's happening in the world are just bigger than sports. And this would be a prime example of that. So there you have it. Also, I must be blind. My eyesight is not getting better. Someone had put out this list, Fox Sports, the top 10 Oregon players of all time. And I looked at the list and I didn't see Gary Zimmerman. And I just posted without further inspection. I'm like, no, Gary Zimmerman, this list is a joke. And someone responded and said, he's number 7 on the list. And I moved the phone farther away from my face. I'm like, yeah, sure enough, he's number 7. Their top 10, Royce Freeman, number 10, DeAnthony Thomas, number 9, Joey Harrington at 8, Gary Zimmerman at 7. And I love Gary because he's a Hall of Famer. And he protected John Elway's blindside in Denver. Mel Renfro was a stud, number 6. LaMichael James, number 5. Norm Van Brocklin, number 4. Haloti Ngata, one of the most dominant defensive linemen of all time, number 3. Dan Fouts, 2. And Marcus Mariota is number 1. There you have it. Yeah, he's listed 7th. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was my bad. I don't have a problem with Marcus being number 1. Hard to believe that you can have a top 10 in Oregon and Justin Herbert's not on the list. I guess you can thank Marcus Arroyo and the head coach, Mario Cristobal, for that. Now, I think Mario's doing a good job. I just can't believe that he turned Justin Herbert into a worse quarterback. Like, you have to coach really hard to make that happen. And I thought it might be Marcus Arroyo, but after seeing him now in Arizona State working with Kenny Dillingham, I know for a fact it was Mario being very conservative. And so I'm hoping with Mario, because I like him, and, he's really good at recruiting and building an offensive line, hopefully he can learn. But he still has a tendency to want to give the game away at the end. And it's frustrating because they have a lot of talent. So I just don't understand how you can do that. Telephone number 503-248-0620. You can jump on board if you'd like. You can find me on X at Chad and Rip City. A couple of notes. Coming up a week from Friday, which is the 19th of September, I'm going to be at the final stop on the Rip City Rally. It's out in Gresham. I'll do the show live from 3 until 6. I think the Rip City Rally Fair will go from 4 to 6. So I've checked the extended forecast, and it looks like the weather's going to be good. So there you have it. Here from the 732, thank you for mentioning Charlie. I broke down picking up my daughter this afternoon. Well, yeah, it's awful. Don't watch the video. I just saw from another person that was just randomly scrolling through Twitter and saw the video. You don't want to see it. That stuff's awful. Despicable. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Brian, no, Fox Sports Radio will be on the show tomorrow. So we'll get a chance to talk with him and get ready for another great week. If week 2 in the NFL is anything like week 1, I'll be happy with that. That week 1 was awesome. So many great storylines, so many great games, and just more questions now as we move into week 2. How's Justin Fields going to play? What's Danny Dimes going to look like for the Colts in week 2 against the Broncos? What's wrong with Bo Nix after that horrendous opener against Tennessee? I thought Jaden Daniels was pretty special. The Giants were awful. And if I am Brian Daboll, I understand why they're not throwing Jackson Dart out there. That offensive line is a piece of crap. So you don't want to put Jackson Dart out there yet because you might get him killed, and you don't want to destroy his confidence. So if you're wondering why Jackson Dart is not playing yet for the Giants, just take a look at their offensive line. What a mess that is. I thought the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers looked nice. One of the games of the week that I can't wait for, Seahawks at the Steelers. That's going to be a good one. And Justin Herbert was as good as anybody in the NFL in week 1. Probably had the best quarterback performance until I saw freaking Josh Allen. The end of that game was wild, too. What a game. All right, let's go out to the phones. Let's bring on Charlie. Not Charlie, but Don in Wilsonville, who wants to talk about Charlie Kirk. Hey, Don, appreciate the call. Long time no chat. What's on your mind?
Yeah, it's sad, Charlie, he preached Christ. He wasn't afraid to bring the truth. He was calm. He's very witty. I mean, I the more I think about and seeing his videos and stuff, he had the Spirit of the living God guide him in a lot of things he did. And they get fired up. You know what I mean? A lot of people get mad and they get fired up and get emotional. Charlie never did. So he had the Holy Spirit guiding him. And the thing about it is we're living in those last days. If we're afraid to preach Christ, God's going to hide us. He's not going to want us. That's what Jesus said. You've got to go out there and live your life and don't be afraid, because he's a modern day hero, and he changed a lot of lives, and a lot of people changed their views because of what he did, and it was the Holy Spirit through him. So I thank the Lord for that, and those kids are, going to grow up and know that their father was an American hero.
That's true.
For the Lord.
Yeah, they'll know he's a hero, but they also have to grow up without a father, which is terrible. But yeah, there's no doubt. Charlie Kirk was a man of faith, had convictions, and was able to speak that. But I think Don hit on something that was special. There would be people who would come up and really be hating on him, but he had a unique way of communicating and creating a discourse with conversation. And I respect that talent. And we need more of that. We need more of people trying to engage with one another, especially when you disagree with them. To bring togetherness, not division. And like I said before, I care more about relationship than anything else with people. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Big thanks to Don for checking in. Telephone number here is 503-248-0620. Brian O, Fox Sports Radio, talking ball tomorrow as we get ready for another fabulous weekend of football. You got your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Let's go to Bob in Salem. Let's go to Bob in Salem. I think he's got a question about Spirit Mountain Casino. I'll be down there tomorrow for Thursday Night Lights. I'm also going to be down there for the Civil War Party with Oregon and Oregon State, the Northwest Premier Entertainment Destination. Bob, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, Chad. Thanks for taking the call. I've been out there a couple of times to check out the sports book, and I plugged you in the marketing department. You're the reason I went out there, so gave you props for that.
Well, thank you.
Quick question for you. I couldn't go last week out there because I was at the Duck game. Can you tell me about you were talking about the parlay. Do you say you have to put it at the book itself, like up at the counter?
Well, what they had is it was
a drawing?
Yeah, the drawing. What the drawing was, the way it was set up for last week is they did a drawing for Bet College Ball to kind of promote the fact that you can bet on college sports down there. So if you went to the counter, you could not do it at the kiosk. It had to be a counter so you get the ticket. You make any $25 parlay, and you got a ticket. If you were an instant winner, you could win $250 in cash, Oregon Duck tickets, Oregon State gear, or Oregon gear, whatever the case may be. If you're an instant winner, you get that prize on the spot. If you weren't, then you put the ticket in the drum for the second chance drawing, and we had cash prizes of $500, $300, and $200, and that's the way they had it set up. But you had to make the bet for the parlay at the counter so you could be entered into the drawing. That's how they had it set up.
Okay, gotcha. Was that just a last week opening week, or are they doing that every Saturday?
They won't do it every Saturday. They'll have another one here in the near future, but that was for this past Saturday. What they've got going this week is, and not just this week, but all month, on Thursdays, they're going to have drawing times at 6 and 8, and it's called Thursday Night Lights. They'll have 4 winners total between the drawings at 6 and 7. And so what you do is you can win anywhere between $1,000 to $4,000 in cash, and then you also get an NFL helmet and jersey. So that also is the return of football. Those drawing times will be on Thursdays at 6 and 7. And then the Civil War Party for Oregon and Oregon State is going to be held in the Event Center. I'll be hosting that. They're going to have memorabilia and different things they're going to give away. They'll have drawings during the game. They'll have food service where you can eat, during before and during halftime and so forth. So it's really a great place to check out the game if you're not going to go yourself.
Yeah, well, I'll be at the Civil War game. But, yeah, thanks for reminding me about that. It's a great sports book, one of the best I've seen around. Reminds me of Vegas down there quite a bit. So
Bob, what I think I like about it is that it's not like cramped. So it's got the open seating with the cushy chairs. You got places to get something to drink right next to you and food, and they've got all the games on. So, I think it's a great way to hang out and watch, have a college football Saturday. It's good. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Sounds good. Well, I'll try to get down there when you're there sometime and catch you and say hi.
All right,
Thank
Bob.
you.
I appreciate it, buddy. There's Bob in Salem. Yeah, I'll be down there. So that's going to be fun. Yeah, the Oregon. My 2 favorite events that I host down there. I'm kind of like the Bob Barker for Spirit Mountain, hosting their drawings and stuff and some of their parties. But my 2 favorite are Super Bowl and Civil War. Those are the 2 best. And Civil War, it's just weird now because we have the Civil War party in September. Yeah, that will never get normal. Oregon and Oregon State play right around Thanksgiving, not in September. But this is what happens. The whole game has been turned upside down, and mostly for good. But rivalries going away or teams playing at different times than what we're accustomed to for decades is weird to me. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can jump on board. Love to hear your voice. Damian Lillard's divorce proceedings must no longer be secret, judge rules. All right. I'm sure Dame appreciates that. 503-248-0620. And I've got people sending me pictures of blonde dachshunds in Northwest Portland. Now, Puppy Shot's doing very well. 8 years old. I took him to get groomed for the first time last weekend to get his hair trimmed up because he gets itchy this time of year with the heat and stuff, and it seems to have worked. They trimmed up everything. He looked like a handsome young boy. He was really scared when I left, though, but he was happy when I came back. But I told him, I said, look, you're 8. You're probably about halfway through your life expectancy, buddy. So we got to make sure we enjoy all of our time together. I just wish that dachshunds weren't they're like shadows. Can I go into the bathroom by myself once, idiot? Nonstop. It's just like the neediness. It's like, come on, man. I just got to go in and take a leak. Why you got to be in there with me? And if I don't open the door, he can't get in. The whole time that I'm taking a leak, he's like whining. Oh, my gosh. It's like, come on, brother. All right, so Brian, note tomorrow. The 19th, I'm going to be out in Gresham, one of my favorite places, for the Rip City Rally. Come out and join us. The Rip City Rally Fair will be from 4 to 6, and I'll broadcast live from 3 to 6. Michael Shacker was out there today checking the lay of the land and making sure we can be connected. So that should be a good time. I think the weather's going to be nice. There's a special event coming up, but I can't talk about it right now. And I would say I was at MOTA yesterday for a meeting. I was meeting with the Trailblazers, who are phenomenal partners, and we were going over stuff for the season. I got a chance to take a look inside the bowl, and I have put a picture out on X. The new video board with the new panels and everything on both ends of the stadium, and the new Jumbotron, it's going to be off the chain. It's so massive. And the stats and the different information you're going to have up at all times throughout the game, it's going to be a different experience for you. And for you analytic nerds, it's going to be right up your alley. So if you're into analytics, if you're into gambling, if you're into fantasy sports, whatever the case may be, like the whole setup and the information, plus what you're able to see, man, they have spread no expense. It's going to be awesome. Very excited about that. So one of those things, you see something like, whoa, it's that big? It's fortunate to have days like today where the news is just horrific. It's unfortunate to have days like today where the news is just horrific. When we get a reality check, but I appreciate you for being a part of this radio community.